Lights, camera, debate, ignite, passion strong under the spotlight. Tune in for the clash, tune in for the spark. The critic and the cynic light up the dark.
Welcome back to The Critic and the Cynic. The second film on our list this week is the first of the two Netflix films. And it is...
I don't even want to say it.
It's Hot Frosty. Hot Frosty. We've been waiting so long for this one.
No.
So long.
No. You've been waiting.
Look, there's not that... Okay, I'm going to say there's not many. There's many. There's many Christmas movies that we're taking a look at this month. But there's only a handful that I've heard about in the least bit, and most of them are just the Netflix movies, because I guess just Netflix has a better form of marketing their stuff. Hot Frosty came out November 13th on Netflix. You said, where did you say the guy was from again?
He's from Schitt's Creek.
Okay, his name is Dustin Milligan, and it's Lacey Chabert, whatever, however you say her name.
And she is iconic in the Hallmark Christmas movies or Netflix, just Christmas movies.
Personally, I think that they're all iconic in the Hallmark Christmas trade because they're like in Christmas movies every single year. But I guess what makes it a little bit different is that she's on Netflix now instead of Hallmark.
I guess.
I don't know. So here's the tagline of the film. It took a snowman to melt her heart. Yeah. All right. So, you probably already know where this is going. We've already talked about it a little bit in the past 2 episodes. But here's the premise of the film. When a young widow's magic scarf, that must be the red scarf on the poster, brings a dashing snowman to life, can he help her rediscover romance, laughter, and holiday cheer before he melts away? Okay, so this is your typical Pinocchio story turning into a real-life creature, or if you saw the movie Jack Frost, it's Jack Frost, just like in reverse. Because Jack Frost, it was a human that turned into a snowman. This was a snowman that turned into a human. Obviously, he's Hot Frosty. Now, but the thing about it is, are they supposed to be dating, or is he supposed to be like her wingman?
Well, I saw the trailer. I'm pretty sure they're dating.
Okay, well, that'd be fine. And you had made the mention, oh, well, it's not going to make any difference because he's just going to melt at the end. And I'm like, no, not if they turn it into a Pinocchio story. He turns into a real boy.
Okay, either way, it's going to be awful.
I think it's going to be self-aware humor. If it's not, if it takes itself too seriously, then I would be on your side of the boat and be like, why even attempt it if that's the route you're taking? It needs to take itself incredibly silly because that's ultimately what it is. According to Trek.tv, out of 252 votes,
Why would that many be? Ugh.
There's 63%, which is low. I mean, it's average. It's average for what we've been watching. But it is low based off of what you said. You saw an article saying that everybody's talking about it. But low rating doesn't mean it's not talk-worthy, I guess.
Yeah, because they're all busy talking about how awful it is.
And now, those are only the votes. Not everybody votes. If you go over to see how many people on here watched it, 1.2 thousand and then 1.6 thousand plays. So some people rewatched it.
Why?
Because it's so ridiculous. Some people are like, oh my god, you gotta watch this.
Because it's so bad and they're just like, hey, you have to see this shit? Like, I don't understand.
It might be. Or it might just be everybody's new favorite Christmas movie that I gotta watch every year. This person said I lasted 27 minutes and I gave up. They hit the veto button.
Well, I hope that you hit the veto button because I don't have mine anymore and I regret it.
Well, let's see. Oh, past Lacey Chabert and stuff, we had Craig Robinson. Okay, we got Joe Lo Truglio, who was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Lauren Holly, who is the girlfriend or the girl that Lloyd was after in Dumb and Dumber. There's this, once again, when it comes down to Netflix, they actually have cast members that I've heard of, which is cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
I am not.
Because look, the first one that I said, the last 27 minutes and they gave up, they rated it 1 out of 10. And the next person rated it 8 out of 10. So it's going to be a toss-up. The next person after that gave it a 7. And that's all I could see as far as people reviewing it. But I won't look too deeply into their comments until after we watch the movie, because I don't want to give myself too much of a heads up. But very interested in this one.
2 hours later.
Hot Frosty, it's time. Let's discuss one of the movies that I was most intrigued to check out, because it is a spin off of the classic Frosty the Snowman. And instead of a snowman coming to life, it's a snowman coming to life as a human being, as Hot Frosty.
Terrible premise.
No, it's not a terrible premise.
Yes, it is.
It's a great premise.
Okay, I have a that's where I take the biggest offense here, because we are dealing with a widow and she magically finds this new beau in a snowman who's constantly afraid that he's going to melt and die. And I'm like, that's just cruel.
It's not cruel. It is, she's jaded. She's jaded because her entire world has crumbled because of her past relationship and her husband dying of cancer. And so she does not believe that love can be a thing anymore. And 2, she doesn't know how to approach something like that again. So this guy showing up teaches her that love is still attainable, and that she's going in expecting the worst because he's gonna melt at some point or whatever. That's the idea. I think that there's a good idea there. There's heart there, especially because this character is as innocent as a child, and he just loves everybody and everything.
Yeah, she would have been better off getting a puppy.
Now who's cruel? Yeah, no,
Well, come on. A puppy loves everybody. A puppy is innocent.
Yes, but a puppy is not gonna fix the town and go around fixing everybody's problems. And
But why does a snowman need to go around the town?
because he
and
is
fix everybody's problems.
because he. I love what not the director, but the writer of the film said is that hatred is nurture, it is not nature. So when this snowman is born into the world, he doesn't have any of this negativity associated. He didn't learn any of it, so he's just innocent, and he just loves everybody, and he just wants to help everybody.
Yeah, he's just born one day, but magically he can read. Okay, there's a lot of problems here.
Actually, I don't know. Can he read?
Yes, he did, because he saw the medical chart and he's like, what's cancer?
I didn't realize he saw the medical chart. I thought he just found that out or something.
No.
But besides the point, I like the concept that he is as innocent as a child. I didn't like that because he is that way, that it also has to be a love story with Lacey Chabbert's story. I believe he could be just this really awesome, inspiring, influential character that helps people in any which way, whether you're talking about fixing up houses or helping her realize that love is attainable and everything, but he himself remains innocent, right?
Okay,
I would have preferred that.
Well, the only way that he could have showed her that love is attainable is if he was like hooking her up or matching her up with somebody else, because that's like the whole
Yes, and that's
storyline.
fine. I would have been absolutely okay with that. I would have been completely on board with that.
I don't know. I don't think there's any way that you could have fixed this.
Well, I just said.
And I disagree. I don't know.
You came in expecting bad, and then you just saw bad everywhere you looked. I was looking for the best in the film and the best in everybody in it. I do not believe that they cast the right person for Frosty in this film. Not at all. I believe that they had a one-track mind here, and they said he's hot because he's got a bunch of muscles, and I didn't buy it.
But there's other actors that are hot and that have a bunch of muscles that are funnier.
Yeah, there was some people in the comments for this film that said it would have been a whole lot better if they had Andy Samberg in the role, because we had a couple of comedic people from sitcoms that did pretty well for what it's worth, but he didn't mesh with their comedy very well because I just didn't think he was the right person for the role. Andy Samberg would have played off that innocent experience pretty well, but he's not hot in any way, shape, or form.
It depends. I mean, I think he's attractive, but he's not traditionally what most people would consider hot, I guess.
No, he's not quote-unquote sexy. Not at all.
Well, again, I disagree, but
it's
traditionally.
We're talking about traditional here.
We're talking about like the standards that Americans put on beauty and attractiveness.
Standards and expectations, yeah. My experience with the film, and the reason why I was disappointed in it, is unfortunately has to do with casting. I do not think that he was the right person for the role, and because of that, it felt weird when they had this romance angle introduced. Obviously, it was going to go that route, but it felt weird because of how innocent he was. The only way to get away from that weirdness is to have the character grow and maybe not act as innocent as he did in the beginning, but become more mature.
Which I think happened. I think he learned over the course of the film.
Maybe a little bit, but not as much as I would have probably preferred.
But arguably, she learned too. She learned not to be so jaded and...
Yes, and that's probably the most important part of the movie.
And that is the only positive for me, is her storyline and her growth, personally.
Yeah.
Because I can't personally relate to her storyline, but I know people who can. And so it was just nice to see her be able to, like, kind of grow and come out of that.
Yeah. I think one of the main problems that you had with this was the slapstick humor part of it.
It's not my kind of humor.
Right. That's the dumb humor part. You've never liked dumb humor. I have, so I appreciated it. Obviously, it has Craig Robinson, and everything that he's in, he acts the same way. Every time you ever see him on screen, he's always acting the same way. Same thing here. And the partner guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, same thing. He's acting exactly the same, I would say.
Not quite. I don't think he was, like, as gross as he is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Is he gross in Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
He is. He's, like, to the point of being weirdly gross.
Okay. Well, he was just... In this, he was just stupid.
Weird. He was just weird and kind of stupid, yeah.
He was weird and stupid, and because of that, he was funny.
But a little bit more genuine, I would think. Realistic.
But this is where that Andy Samberg thing goes in. If Andy Samberg was in it opposite of Craig Robinson and his partner in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that would have been perfect. And then you mentioned they said cool.
Yeah, which he definitely did a lot in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, and it would have made even more sense just with the dialogue there. I said, in terms of comparing it to other movies, I had mentioned the Brendan Fraser caveman movie, the Encino Man, and you had mentioned Elf. Once you mentioned that, I also 100% agree with it, because you're talking about a very innocent person
dropped into a bunch of cynics.
And and his just positivity just kind of flows out and it affects the entire town. It's very much like that. And obviously it is a Christmas movie, so it probably is closer to Elf than Encino Man. But I think if Encino Man and Elf had a love child, you could see it as this. Overall, what kind of rating are you giving it?
I don't know. Maybe 55.
55. I would I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm going to give it 60, which is, I think, the very first rating we ever gave any of these movies, which was The Date Before Christmas. We gave it a 60, and I think it's in the same ballpark of that movie. I think it had promise. I think it had promise to have more of a tongue-in-cheek vibe. It didn't take itself too seriously by any means, but it also didn't have too many tongue-in-cheek jabs of making fun of itself. There was the one shout-out that you had mentioned that was a shout-out to Mean Girls.
Right, and Christmas movies.
Which was very similar, by the way, to the last shout-out that we saw, where they had shout-out to another Hallmark movie within a Hallmark movie. It was similar. It was something that was on TV. So, whatever. That's what I have to say about that. It's not that much of a tongue-in-cheek type of movie. I wish it was, though. I wish it was more fourth wall breaking, even.
And I'm gonna say that, like, I can see people having fun with this movie, but it's not for me.
Right.
And I don't think it was really for you, because you were expecting it to make fun of itself a little bit more.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it was just like, here's a movie about a snowman that turns into a hot guy. Let's go crazy with it, and
everybody just accepts it.
And
Like, the whole town just is like, yeah, we totally buy that this dude is a snowman. And their excuse is, well, it's Christmas.
Well, it's
we can
Christmas,
believe in that
obviously.
kind of
It's
stuff.
Christmas,
And
guys.
so on Christmas, I'm just going to walk around saying that I'm a penguin. And apparently I won't get locked up for that as a crazy person.
because
so.
it's Christmas.
Yep.
Whatever. So anyways, I expected more from it, ultimately. So now I actually understand where that rating on Track.tv comes from being in the ballpark of the 60-ish range. It makes sense why it's there. But yeah, that was Hot Frosty.